Alright, hello guys. Today we're going to be talking about Hurricane Dorian once again, as we're expecting a Category 3 or 4 hurricane to make impact with the eastern seaboard of Florida. Now, Florida is under a state of emergency, obviously, because of those reasons that I just stated beforehand. We are expecting winds of upwards of 130 miles per hour or more sustained, which means the gusts could be more intense, and also devastating rainfall. We haven't really been able to accurately pick up on how much rainfall is to be expected, but it will be a lot, and in future updates we will be able to give you more information on that. But before I get started with this video though, I would ask you do subscribe if you do like weather related content, and also if you would like to keep up with this current storm that we are talking about. Also check out the links in my description for my social medias down below. On my Instagram and my Facebook page, I've been making more frequent updates on this storm as NOAA updates their forecast. I have been showing my followers that on the Instagrams and the Facebook page. So if you follow those, you'll be able to get more frequent updates. And of course, just pay attention to NOAA's updates as they come out. And your local news stations will also be able to give you accurate information from NOAA as well. That's going to be most important for you if you do live in the state of Florida or Georgia. You're not out of the picture quite yet either. Now, we are looking at satellite imagery for this one, and you can see it is starting to develop a nicer bit of spin to it. As we intensify into a Category 2 and eventually a Category 3 hurricane, we will see this one develop an eye, just as we always do see, where it will have the eye wall and intense winds within that eye wall. We do have intense winds towards the middle of this storm, but it doesn't have that eye wall yet. It doesn't have that very, very distinct characteristic of the eye wall. It will eventually develop that though. Now, over the next 48 hours, we are expecting this one to become a Category 2 hurricane and possibly even a Category 3 by that point. Within the next 24 hours, it will likely be a Category 2. Now, here's your track according to the spaghetti models. You can see almost all of them now by 12Z today have this one hitting the central east coast of Florida here, somewhere in between Daytona and Miami. We do have this one making impact. Now, there is a couple models that do go north of there, showing it hit more closer to Jacksonville, and then there is one singular model that does have this one not even hitting Florida and going north and hitting North Carolina. Again, this is one out of about 30. I don't think this is going to happen. We're pretty certain this one isn't going to go up the coast, and we're also pretty certain that this one will hit the eastern seaboard of Florida. Now, we are going to move on to our intensity guidance models here. And you can see that a very, very, very big majority of them have it heading into Category 4 status. I would say we probably have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 models having it hit Category 4 or Category 3 status, sorry. And then we have about 5 or 6 having it not reach Category 3 status. I'm assuming that most of these models are going to eventually come together and agree that we will reach Category 3 status. If it hits Category 2 status within the next 24 hours, I expect these models to really pick up on the fact that this one's intensifying fast and bring it into Category 3 and maybe even 4 status. You can see about 5 of them have it heading into Category 4 status at some point. Now, here's NOAA's official forecast on this one. You can see this is the 11 a.m. Thursday update, and you can see by 8 a.m. tomorrow, they have it already at Category 3 status. That M on the map stands for major hurricane. Major hurricane status is achieved at Category 3. So they are expecting a Category 3 hurricane by 8 a.m. tomorrow, very, very soon. Now, we'll probably be a Category 2, obviously, at some point within that. I think we're about, I'll have to look at the intensity guidance again, but we're more than halfway to a Category 2. We're a very strong Category 1 at this point, so we're probably pretty close to becoming a Category 2. I'd assume by the 5 p.m. update tonight, we will probably be at Category 2 status. And you can see that those M's just continue through into Monday morning when we're going to be seeing this one arriving pretty close to Florida. So we are still going to be at Category 3 or 4 status as we reach Florida. Now, I did want to show this little written forecast from NOAA here on the map. You can see we are expecting to reach 130 mile per hour winds by hours 72 and hours 96. Now, the reason this is a big deal is because 130 miles per hour is actually a Category 4 hurricane. Now, that's what I've been calling for, but to see NOAA calling for it is just absolutely insane. as we see, again, 130 mile per hour winds is the very bottom requirements for a Category 4 hurricane, and we see that achieved from 72 hours to 96 hours. So that's a pretty long time at Category 4 status. Now, here's your tropical storm force wind speed probabilities, and you can see within that purple region, we do have almost 100% chances of tropical storm force winds. Within the red regions, we're 70 to 90% chance, still very high. So you can see a lot of coastal Florida is expecting almost certain chances of seeing tropical storm force winds. Obviously, this thing can change its track a little bit, and that would change these probabilities. But as of right now, Florida is looking at a very, very good chance at least seeing tropical storm force winds. Now, if we look at the hurricane force wind speed probabilities, again, the reason these are so low up against the east coast of Florida is because we're not very certain where it's going to hit in Florida. We are over 95% chance sure that this one is going to hit somewhere in Florida. So the question is, where in Florida is it going to hit? Now, the most likely is probably the central east coast of Florida there, where we have those yellows and oranges. That's where we're at about 30 to 50% chance of hurricane force wind speeds at this point, and we're still more than 5 days out from this actually hitting Florida, which is just absolutely insane. So we're pretty certain of that. Now, here's your most likely arrival time of tropical storm force winds. Now, by Sunday 8 p.m., we will be seeing those tropical storm force winds reach the east coast of Florida, and by Monday morning, we will see those all the way on the west coast of Florida. So you can expect those hurricane force winds to probably arrive by sometime in the middle of the night Sunday. Now, I just wanted to show a few frames of some model runs here of different models showing this storm as it makes impact with Florida. We're starting off with the GFS, and you can see this one has it hitting around Daytona. Now, I am going to move on to the GEM model, and you can see this one, it has it pretty far south of Daytona, along those beaches there in between Miami and Daytona. It has it arriving somewhere in there. Now, your NAM model has it agreeing with that, somewhere in that region as well. And then you can see your ICON model has it just offshore of Miami. So I just wanted to show that, just to show that these models do have this storm hitting anywhere up and down the east coast of Florida. They are trending more towards the central and southern coasts of Florida, but that doesn't mean that it won't trend north once again and have Jacksonville back in the high probability area of getting hit by this thing directly. Now we're going to look at our official forecast from Direct Weather for this one. We're at Category 1 status right now, as you can see on the map. I want you to look at the right-hand side of the screen first off. We're at 21 degrees north by 66.9 degrees west. That's the location of this hurricane. Now, our wind speed is 85 miles per hour right now, and our center of low pressure is at 991 millibars right now, so the pressure is dropping. We did have it in the upper 90s yesterday, and you can see this is dropping pretty fast now. Our movement is still northwest at 13 miles per hour. That was the same as yesterday. It hasn't changed directions yet. Now, let's talk a little bit about this red cone as I'm going to zoom this in for you guys here. We are expecting this to head northwest for quite a while here, and then eventually slowly start to steer to where it's heading directly west towards Florida. Also, I wanted to mention that Freeport and some of those northern Bahama Islands are not out of the question for getting hit directly by this one, and that would be right around the time that it would be a Category 4 hurricane. So those islands could be potentially looking at a very, very serious situation. If you happen to be in Freeport or some of those other northern Bahama islands like Nassau, islands like that, you are not out of the picture yet. Those are areas that could get hit directly by this one at Category 4 strength, Category 3 or 4 strength, which would be absolutely devastating. Now, after that, we do see that the red cone extends from basically Jacksonville, Florida, all the way down south through Daytona, all the way south through all those beaches, and all the way down into Miami. That's the areas that we think are at risk of getting hit directly by this storm. Now, the important thing to note with this cone is that this doesn't mean that that's where the winds are going to be. This means that anywhere within that red cone could be where the very center of low pressure could be. It could be all the way south in Miami, it could be in Daytona, or it could be in Jacksonville. If it's in Jacksonville, Miami's not going to feel too much effects. If it's in Miami, Jacksonville's not going to feel as much effects. If it's in Daytona, probably everywhere is going to feel some sort of effects. But I just wanted to mention that because there probably is some confusion with that. Again, in future updates, we are going to be talking about rainfall and more about the expected winds and storm surge. We're going to start getting into that stuff as we get closer and closer to this storm arriving. As updates are needed, I'm going to make updates. Again, for more frequent updates, I would recommend liking our Facebook page, which is again in the description, and also following the Instagram. That's where we're going to have the more up-to-date updates coming out very, very frequently, because I can just, with the click of a finger on my phone, I'm traveling right now, so I'm in my car a lot, but I can always be posting to the Facebook page and the Instagram very frequently, but the YouTube channel is harder to update to. So for more up-to-date and for more frequent updates, make sure to follow those two things. I think that that's going to be your best bet. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope that you just try super hard to stay safe. Obviously, if they call for people to evacuate in Florida at some point, go ahead and do that. Go ahead and make your reservations now for hotels. Somebody mentioned in my previous YouTube videos that it's you can always cancel your reservations, so it's better to reserve a hotel room now rather than later, because obviously those are going to get very booked up, the ones very close to Florida, as we get very, very close to the storm making impact. Anyway, guys, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next update.